Hi, Donna.
Hey, you.
I'm okay. How are you?
I am hanging in there. I'm hanging in there. I'm hanging in there. It's kind of a gloomy day, but I'm here.
Yeah. Remind me where your home base is. Are you in Oakland or somewhere else?
I'm in San Pablo.
Okay.
Yeah. So, what is on our agenda today as you are in your second office?
Yes. I just popped out of one meeting to my other office, other meeting. Yes. Um, Actually, I was just hoping to just two thoughts. One, I didn't get a response from you on what I turned in. So just to confirm that you got everything.
I did not.
You did not. You did not get my things. Let me pull it up. So,
Do you remember which email you sent it to?
yeah, I think I sent it to your work one. I'll
Okay,
read forward
great.
it. Now, let's see. I have clinical hours, week 6, CPE, and verbatim. So on October 9th, I sent it to Donna Allen at sutterhealth.org.
Donna Dot Allen?
Donna.Allen, yes. Is that right?
That's correct.
Okay. Would you like me to re-forward to a different, just because
Um,
you're usually really good about responding, and I thought, shoot, because I'm kind of juggling between I have my work account that some of the CPE things go to, but I've been sending these from my personal account because now I have to have two computers for security and authentication. So it's kind of muddled things. So I
so
just,
it came from your Gmail account?
yeah, katecanova@gmail.com to
Okay.
Donna.Allen@sutterhealth.org.
And it says week
And it
6.
says week 6 CPE
There
docs
it is.
Canova 1B.
It went into my junk. I got it.
Okay. Okay. Good. I'm just glad we're on the same page with all of that.
Yeah, I will try to Sunday was the 9th? No.
No, let's see. The 9th. I was ahead of the ball this week. Usually I get
Yeah.
them to you like Saturday or Sunday, but I feel like this one was early.
Okay, so all right, this one was early. So October 9th is the one that would have been submitted for October 12th, week 6.
Yeah, week
Okay, I
6.
got
I
it. I
think
wanted to make
I
sure I
think
had it.
okay. Well,
Yes.
let me know if you don't have anything because thankfully I've been able to be on track with all of my assignments. So I do have all of them. So just let me know if you have any holes on your end in case I.
The only one I didn't have was this one, and now I see it right here.
Okay,
So you're good
perfect.
to go. I'll try to work it in sometime today because you never know when somebody's going to cancel a meeting. And I might be able to get it back to you before we meet this evening.
Yeah, yeah, it's no worries. And actually, I
I
did
guess
my,
it might have gone to junk because of spam, but now that I moved it over in the future, it won't do that.
yeah, and it's no big deal. It's just you're pretty regular about, you're very predictable, thankfully. So that kind of gives me a clue when something doesn't go. I
Yeah,
really
like, oh, what's
appreciate that
happening?
about you.
Well, thank you. I appreciate that you appreciate it. Similar sort of thing as you. I know I have a window here. I'm planning to do this. If I don't get it, ugh,
Yeah, it
yeah,
kind of has to fit into life well. But
right.
actually, I ended up kind of developing it into this week too, because it just kind of moved in a direction. And I think one of the um, things I'm really enjoying exploring with you personally in this class is kind of navigating leadership in ambiguous situations as I just learn how I respond to that and other people respond to that. And in essence, in a way, kind of how to triage things. I think before I was trying to make all the things work for all the people, but that doesn't
Ah,
actually work in the job. And so when you draw lines and boundaries, how do you do that in effective and respectful ways with prioritizing who comes first? Sometimes, even when you love all the people and you want to make it work for all the people. So I did the first one kind of is the start of that. And then this week I dug into that reflection a little bit more. So I figured after we talk, I'd just send it over. And if you haven't read it, maybe it'll work good as a stream conversation on your end.
okay, great. No problem. That'll be good. Thank you.
Yeah. And the other thing I was kind of just hoping to do in this time is just check you and see if you have any particular thoughts, observations, growth areas, in part related to what I'm submitting, just feedback on that. And in the other part, just this is about the time in CPE where all the things get stirred up for all the people. And sometimes it just feels like you're standing in a, what's the word, like a, I want to use a bad word and say SHIT show, but it's not like that. Like just everything's flying everywhere and you have to just go, okay, deep breath. I can't do all the things right now. I would really love just a little bit of help kind of focusing on what might be some good areas. So if it's possible, I would love to hear a little bit from you on those two things.
I,
If,
I'm not trying to chaplain you, but I'm not clear. Could you say
okay.
more?
Yeah. So first one is just the work that I'm turning in. Do you
Yes.
feel like those reflections are good, kind of what you're hoping for as someone who's growing into CPEB? And then the second one is just general feedback when all the destabilization of CPE happens, and those of us who've been through the trenches one time go, oh yeah, this is so normal. But like also I just need to focus in on a few key pieces. I would love to hear your wisdom and perspective at this stage of maybe those few key pieces as I think about how I'm grabbing what I need to grab from this CPE unit in conversation with some awesome people.
How is the feedback that you're getting, for example, for your verbatims, from your colleagues? How is that working for you? That was a check-in area for me for you.
Yeah, I think sometimes, and this has always been kind of a just a spot where I feel like I'm kind of an ill fit in this particular group. Just this, I don't know. I've never done any other CPE organization, so I don't know if there's like tons of correctional chaplains somewhere. I get the feeling no, because not a lot of people love this job the way I love this job. I'm really glad we have James. I hope that he's he's able to speak into it at some point, but I I often feel like if I bring fully my experience, a lot of times people don't know what to do with that. And I'm not saying it's special to me. I think hospital chaplaincy has its own demons in its own ways, but more people seem to be dialed into what that looks like than for correctional chaplains. So I'm never sure how much to bring, how much to wrestle, because there's so many moving parts. And I think after this last verbatim, the first one had encouragement and some good questions for myself. I think I was already thinking of the questions. For this last one, I feel like maybe it was a bit much to bring to the group. And then I always get kind of stuck there. Like, do I just go it alone and not bring it so wholeheartedly? Or is there a way I could bring it better so that it doesn't shock and elicits more dialogue? I think that's a timider, or what's the word? Not even timid, just I'm just not sure how to bring the mess of what I do to this lovely, informative, safe space in a way that is constructive.
Okay. And am I hearing you right? What you brought in your last verbatim, you sort of dialed it back?
No, I actually, that was like just fully it.
Okay.
And so I know it's a lot to bring in like a Satanist and a like topics that just they're all on their own uncomfortable, and to put them all together. And I wrote that verbatim wholeheartedly, like
Hmm.
just as it was, and brought it, which for me is, it feels like a bit of a gamble because I know it's hard sometimes for some people to receive that, but also I really trust this group. I trust you. I trust that nobody's going to be like, oh yeah, here's how it totally is going to go, but that it kind of creates engagement and way for me to think. But also it might is my curiosity be maybe too much, too authentic, too out there? I
Okay.
don't know.
And so you're really wanting to check in on that because you're not sure.
Yeah, that's kind of my hope that you and I could just check in about that.
And you're wanting to check in on it with me. Are you also wanting to check in on it with the group?
I don't know that it worries me so much about the group because they are like I kind of see it as we're all just students and we're learning how to engage, and every week is like a new layer of learning for each of us in our own way. So that just is part of this process from a student perspective. I think just from kind of a leadership dynamic, it can be hard if somebody brings a thing that disrupts or takes over or does something that kind of is outside of that. And that's not what I want to do. But also, I want to talk about some of the things that I really can't talk about anywhere because,
Mm-hmm.
like, chaplains honestly see the world differently. When you talk with a chaplain, it is a breath of fresh air most of the time.
Where is you? So I'm trying to make sure I really understand is it your concern, your imagining, or did you assess, hey, I brought this, it was really heavy, and it turns out it was too much?
I just, at the end, I was able to talk it off my chest, which was nice. I
Right.
don't know that I got CPE feedback for it. So to me, it felt a little bit more like, oh, I can use this as like therapy. But the point isn't therapy. The point is to like bring a thing and have people give feedback, good or bad. So I'm not sure
Yeah.
what to do about that piece of it. Like,
Did it feel to you like a spiritual care assessment had occurred with you and the inmate?
I felt like it, yes. That's
Okay.
why I chose it for the verbatim and like deep theological wrestling. Yes.
What in your assessment was the need of the inmate?
Um, I think just to feel cared for and connected in the space that he was in and what he was going through.
Okay. So he had a need to feel connected to anything in particular?
I think in a way, me, but not me personally, me as representative of other things that he's not able to connect with in this season, like parents that should care for him, or a family that should talk to him, or give him money for his books, or a pastor that would come, but that we have no Satanist
How does he
affiliated.
feel about those absent connections?
I think he puts on bravado, but he is grateful to connect with me. Like I think he's sad.
How does he feel about the absence of those connections?
Yeah, I think he's sad about it. He puts on bravado and he likes the connection with me because it's a connection with something, even though we don't agree on everything. He likes the humanization piece, which
Okay,
he's not getting so much in other spaces.
right. Okay, and so your intervention based on your assessment, what was it?
So just to kind of, I think I might describe it as float next to him for a minute. Like,
So you assessed there was a need for connection, and your intervention was to float next to him.
yeah, just for a minute,
Mhm.
because we didn't have the book, the Satanic Bible that he asked for. I wasn't expecting the diagnosis when I sat down, but I knew that he wasn't really talking to anybody about anything. So just to kind of be present in that space while he was doing his thing, actually more calmly than I would have expected, but kind of just just be present and then move.
Do you feel like you offered connection?
I do. Yeah.
So then your intervention was to offer connection. And what are the ways that you offered connection?
I showed up and visited him. I listened, especially to his processing of his medical diagnosis. It was unexpected. I had come with basically a PDF file of the book he wanted, the resource he wanted that I didn't have a copy of yet, that I wanted to get to him so that he could have faith support while he waited. Um, I think that was pretty much it.
So when I invited you to reflect on some of your communication with him, it strikes me that it was driven by your desire to create connection. Especially when I pointed out, I can't remember the specific line now, but you're expressing to him, hey, this is how I feel about my interaction with you.
Oh, yeah, at the very end when I said I enjoy our conversations. Yeah, you did point that out and you asked what it would be like to say you something. And my point was just like from going to
What kind
therapy
of
and things like
connection do
that.
you
I
think?
like I language rather than putting it on you and saying, "Oh, Donna, you seem this." I prefer I language just because
All
that's
right,
to me
that's not what
less
I'm talking about.
aggressive.
What
Okay.
kind of connection were you trying to create by expressing yourself that way to him?
So you're just talking about the one line at the end or the whole conversation?
Let's talk about that particular one line, but it's in the context of the whole conversation.
Okay. So I think what he had said before was something like, thanks for coming. And I said, I enjoy our conversations. So I think because I'm aware that no one talks to him, that the deputies treat him with disrespect because in jail, when you have certain crimes, you just get certain output from people. And he's not in dialogue with um, his family or any loved ones. It's just kind of him doing his time here. And so I think my desire was just to say, keep reaching out. Like it's fine. Reach out. That's part of what
Oh,
we do.
okay. Okay. Why do you think you chose the words you did instead of keep reaching out? That's part of what we do.
Yeah, I can't remember. I think it was based on whatever he said before. I don't have the verbatim
He
in
just
front of me.
he expressed appreciation for the visit, and you said, I enjoy our conversations.
Yeah. Yeah. So I
You
think
didn't say keep
I
reaching out. That's part of what we do.
yeah, I think because I feel like I language is less aggressive than like command language, imperative language. So I tend to try to use here's where I am. You do you.
You think that's what you communicated in that?
I don't
Keep
know.
reaching.
I do
Yeah.
know very often, like sometimes you have a great conversation and they never want to talk to you again. So
Mm.
my my invitation is never based on their action. I just try to leave the door open and friendly. And sometimes whatever we do once is enough. And sometimes they want to keep dialoguing. So from my perspective, I think the I language was more that like, I'm good with this if you're good with this, instead of just saying you reach out again because I think maybe even overcautious at this stage, but like these guys have literally no control over their bodies, over their time. It's all so mandated. And so even something like, hey, you should talk to me again or keep reaching to me feels like a command because I really want to honor that if it's their faith journey, they get to choose how it moves. I'm not I've often said the line, you don't get a lot of choices here, but with chaplains, you always have a choice.
Okay, I can appreciate that. I think my invitation from, in terms of the CPE piece, is when you use I language and your emotions and your feelings, you've turned the spotlight on you.
Mm,
Period. And then it becomes, okay, so what in my intervention said, hey, this is what would be helpful to them right now for me to turn the spotlight on me. So the invitation wasn't to create a command. It wasn't to take away his agency. It wasn't to say you. The invitation was to say, explore why in that moment, given what you identified as the need, you turned the attention to you.
mm,
Because those things are not competing.
hmm. Yeah, they didn't feel competing. It felt pretty holistic, but I
I mean,
think,
when I say those things are not competing, I mean your response of, I don't want to put feelings on him, has nothing to do with the invitation to be in tune with why you turned attention to you.
okay.
Those things are not competing with one another. But you keep responding to me as if they are.
Mm. So maybe can you dig into that a little bit? What do you mean by that word
Yeah.
competing?
They are, one has nothing to do with the other.
I'm not making the connection yet, I
Yeah.
think.
I invite you to say, why did you turn the spotlight on you? And you say, because I don't want to put feelings on him, as if that was the only choice. I got to turn the spotlight on me because I don't want to put feelings on him. And so that's
Mm,
what I'm saying is perhaps there's another choice.
mm. Yeah, I might say I did it because it just felt like it kept the space safer.
Okay.
Not that I wanted to do it on me. It just felt safer for him and for me if I just extended the hand in friendship with no expectation. I might say that's kind of how I was thinking of it. Whether
Yeah.
that's right or wrong or subtle
Okay.
difference, I'm not sure. But I think I was thinking about safety as I did that comment,
Yeah.
which was kind of the tension inside of me because this guy literally has created no safety anywhere in his world out of choices. And I want that so much for him as part of faith exploration.
Does he want that for him?
I don't know. I mean, I think like, I just think that's part of this space is like, I hear all the time guys aren't safe. You can't talk about things. There's no safe space to cry, no safe space to talk, no safe space to tell your thing. And earlier in the verbatim, actually, I did reflect that he was wary but willing about sharing a medical diagnosis because, again, here it's like sharks in the water. Like, as soon as there's blood, you're exploited. And crimes against women and children, true, they'll take you down for it. Physical, like a medical weakness, true, it's like you get targeted. And so I already know that dynamic is present in the unit. I know he's experiencing it from past conversations.
Mhm.
So when he comes out and talks to me, we have this little room, and for just 20 minutes, it's a safe space where all these things are still true about his story. But my hope is that he can just be received as a human, the human in front of me, for these 20 minutes without this past track record or future prediction of what needs to happen. So for me, when I say safety, I kind of mean that, like eye of a storm kind of a thing, just like let's take a breath, breathe a couple breaths together, and we're going to have to go back to all the things. But for now, there's a good thing here. Like it's a
Mhm.
good safe space to be in together. That's
Mhm.
kind of my logic, if that helps clarify.
Yeah, that does. Yeah. How do you think you navigated that?
I think it's okay. And actually, I got a note from him the other day asking if the Bible had come just in our usual messaging system. And he said, I really what did he said something to the effect of, I really do listen to what you say, chaplain. So again, I read that and I was like, okay, I got to take in the Bible, which I responded, but then I thought, be careful about what I say because he's telling me that he really listens. Like, yeah, it's just like a balance, right? Because power, again, it's such a messy thing here because in a way that's power. I don't want to take power from him. I have power by being in relationship with him. And I think for me, I'm always thinking about it like a dance. Like, how do I put the most power back on him, yet also create, how do you say it? Like actionable items or action plans from the perspective of a chaplain that can shift things, not just like let it be. But in this case, there's kind of just a let it be element because there's just a lot going on that he's probably going to simmer in for a while before I see any different thing, if ever I get to see a different thing,
Mhm.
if that makes sense.
It does. So the feelings that are coming up for you that you're navigating around him, can you name what those feelings are?
Yeah, I would say I definitely feel tenderness, but like I said, not particular to him, just kind of injustice and the whole messiness of the situation in general in dialogue with God.
Mm-hmm.
I feel efficiency, if that can be a word. Like,
Okay.
this isn't something that I, as a chaplain, can fix or resolve, but I do have the opportunity in front of me to speak to a person who is opening to listen in a way that doesn't seem to have been spoken to them before, which is both a gift and requires professional awareness.
Okay.
So I would say like efficiency from that perspective, maybe a little bit of just wariness or awareness,
Mm-hmm.
if that could be a describing word. And then I don't feel any particular attachment to him per se. I
Mm-hmm.
do feel in general drawn to the lost sheep, the ones, this is for all my people that nobody really talks to or engages with, who do reach out and initiate contact, because I think that's just part of why I'm good at this job, is my heart is always for the ones who don't have care. So if we have programming dorms with lots of options and there's faith people in there, that's great. But I'll send all my regular people there, but I'm going to go to the ones that are hardest. So a little bit of that for me is a feeling of advocacy, or just a desire for justice, because I think that there's no space untouched or uncared for by God. And sometimes when it's messy and ugly and imperfect, I gotta go. So a little bit, what's that word? Like a feeling word, maybe soldier-esque, or like not cur not even courage, just like resigned maybe, but not in a
Mhm.
bad way.
Wow. Okay. Okay.
It's not bad, like I don't have anything against. It's just like, this is the harder job, and it
Right.
really does need to be done fairly.
Yeah. I don't, keeping your initial question in mind, I can't speak for the group, but you have opportunity even in IPG to check in with them. I did not get a sense that anyone was overwhelmed by the verbatim. I do think when you identify the specific areas that you want feedback in, that you are able to stay in the CPE lane and your outcomes can help direct you.
Hmm.
And I invite you to be attentive to, if you make it broad and it makes it a little more difficult to get feedback.
Okay.
And if you anchor it, in an outcome, it sometimes makes it easier to get feedback because you're focusing, you're so precise. It helps us be precise. That would just be my general sort of feedback. And I was inviting you to revisit this particular interaction, my language, because it struck me, you're on the way, you're ending the visit, and you bring the attention to you, and maybe that is part of your strategy of closure. Know
Mm,
that you have to send him back into an environment, as you say, where there's sharks in the water, and he has to bring a certain energy and presence and do that very quickly. But that didn't seem to be so much what you were focused on. But that was what I was curious about.
mm.
And we didn't get to go that far. So thank you for unpacking more because I didn't know. I just was like, wow, I wonder if it's this. I'm curious. And so thank you for. And I think the reason the dialogue kept switching is because you kept talking about, I don't want to put feelings on them. And I'm like, oh, that's not what I'm talking about. I couldn't figure out how to express my curiosity in a
Mm.
way that could invite reflection around, are you setting him up to walk out the door?
Yeah.
Shift his persona to be as safe as possible where he is.
Yeah. I like what you say a lot because you're part about um, speaking and thinking broadly versus speaking and thinking in detail. I do that. I know I do that. And I do that for a lot of reasons to either cushion my listener or cushion the situation. And that is an area of a growth need for me, is being more specific about what I'm asking. So I like how you've outlined tying it to objectives. And I really appreciate you just kind of letting me practice how I talk about it. It's almost like I have to kind of go around and around and around to come in. And your questions help with that because I don't actually know if I should just stay in the big broad zone or if I should like bring it in. So I think that's part of the play and the learning for me now is how specific can I be without being, say, aggressive or pointed or cruel or pick whatever, but also how broadness detracts from a thing without really knowing it. Like
Right.
putting too much safety in a thing doesn't actually move a thing, I guess, if I could say.
Yeah, well said. And you're tuned into where it comes from within you to put in the cushion.
Yeah. Okay. That's really good reflection point. Thank you for ending and kind of summarizing that for me to help me just have a
Yeah.
takeaway. I appreciate that.
Yeah. Excellent reflection. There is research on a woman's ways of knowing. That's what they call it. They're talking about epistemology. A women that women have a way of knowing that tends to be the circular
Hmm.
in a society that's dominated by paradigms of linear thinking, which tend to lean more towards masculine ways of knowing or men
Okay.
ways of knowing. Not sure how to get
Yeah.
that. Yeah, thank you.
I hear
Thank you
you.
for the grace.
Yeah.
I couldn't get
Because
those
we
together.
categorize everything in binary these days. So
Right,
why
right,
not?
right.
Yeah.
So general. Well, good reflection. Good work. And I
Okay.
would encourage you to keep it up, and your progress on your outcomes is excellent.
Okay. Thanks a lot for your help. I really appreciate it. We'll see you
Thank
tonight.
you. Yes, you will. Thank you.